Trigger warning.
All right. Okay. Well, hi, welcome back, everyone. Hopefully, this intro to this will go quick. So, I'm hoping it'll go quick. Very rarely does it. So, when I initially started doing this, I did not know what had been leaked off of Vosh's channel. Or he did a live stream. During the live stream, he opened up a folder and exposed the contents of pornographic material inside the folder. And Drama YouTube gets a hold of this, rightfully holds a light to him, lights a fire under him. He kind of needed to be held accountable to this. This is actually really bad. But I knew nothing about it. He made this video about it, and he, of course, undersold exactly what leaked onto the world of the internet from his computer. Because I just looked at the video and thought, this is the first act of humility I think I have ever seen him do. And if you look at prior critiques I've had of Vosh, it's not that of him being a leftist or that he has bad leftist takes. He doesn't. He has a lot of really, really good takes, I think, in many aspects. There's seldom a time I disagree with him, but this is something I do disagree with. Ultimately, though, the debate in the quote-unquote debate in question took place in Vosh's comments section. The thing that I really wanted to point out to this person is that I was solely talking about the presentation, the perspective of showing an act of humility. And this person, I don't know if he or she, this person, they wanted to bring up solely what was on the folder that got leaked. So I had no idea. I didn't know. All I knew is Vosh's side of the story. I did not want to make any kind of presumptions or conclusions based off of that. I was like, wow. Most of my previous critiques of Vosh have been that of lack of humility, massive egotism, and now I kind of want to get into this. Another thing that I think this really gets into is the whole idea that in internet world, a lot of these social media pundits, what they're selling to you is that of an identity. And part one of those identities that they are selling is debate, or debate bros, I guess. I mean, it's all just part of this identitarian stuff of, how to be this, how to be that, how to be this, how to be a leftist, how to be a right winger. Anyway, I'm going to read what I put here. When I initially responded to Vosh's video, I had no idea just how much he was downplaying what he had been caught with. If one is to watch that video without knowing or seeing just what he accidentally showed on his computer while doing a live stream, then his story is very easy to believe. It wasn't until I had done further research into what had actually been leaked from his desktop folder that I understood the full gravity of the situation. This was perfect timing, though, because it demonstrates how a fallacy is used to manipulate. One of the problems I have always had with Vosh is very much in line with the identity, prophylicity, and other various sociological issues that come with social media. For one, Vosh is not the left. He himself does not define the left. There was actually a video produced by Bad Empanada about this, as Bad Empanada even includes himself in this. He says he is not the left. These other people are not the left. In fact, no one person or group of people is or are the left. We are merely leftists talking about leftist ideas and giving leftist arguments. What many political content creators are doing in the act of prophylicity is selling you an identity. That identity, of course, is being politically leftist in this case, but you better believe that the right-wing pundits do this too. When I found out what was leaked, I realized my criticisms of Vosh were really not unfounded. Turns out I had my finger on the pulse of an issue I have covered on my channel before, and really, I gotta say, I am not surprised. Vosh got caught with drawings or cartoon renditions of child sex acts known as lolicon. The fact that they were drawings or cartoon renditions of child sex acts is really of no relevance to me. What I have covered in my series, the Anti-Map Days, is what it's called. It's a playlist called the Anti-Map Days. It clearly shows this. People who engage in child porn tend to progress, especially in a vacuum of others like them, and no actual psychological help or intervention is present. I have no doubt, especially given the areas of the internet one must go in order to find such material, it is really only a matter of time before they will graduate from drawings or art renditions and onward towards live action child porn. The other aspect to this is that people who are into things like child sexual acts also tend to be into other things like bestiality or necrophilia. Well, guess what? Vosh also had bestiality in that folder as well. Horse penises, to be exact. Looking back on my criticisms of Vosh, this all makes perfect sense. People who engage in things like child sex acts and bestiality also carry with them some very common personality traits and behaviors with them. One thing we must remember, these sexual abusers are not sex acts. Psychologically, they are considered to be acts of violence. These people have a tendency to seek out dominance and control over others. They tend to display personality traits of a sociopath and or narcissism. Okay. One of my big issues that I have had with Vosh is how he gloats or carries this mass amount of egotism. This is actually a symptom of someone who is a narcissist or sociopath and sets the stage for someone to be predatorial. It's also not uncommon to find that they have a history of sexual assault, violence, or sexually harassed someone. One of the things that resurfaced in the face of this is that Vosh has actually sexually harassed others in the comments of his Discord server before. Another warning sign that Vosh carries is the aspect that those who are not in his position monetarily or other. So let me put it this way. Rich, white, famous, smart, holds his exact positions. To Vosh, anyone who does not fit into these categories that he does is just stupid. He has a tendency to be verbally and mentally abusive to his audience and his positional opponents, which is not how we do debate. These are all warning signs of narcissism and sociopath. And that doesn't mean that a person who is either of those things is going to be a predator, but it is something all predators have in common. And I actually made that into a logic and critical thinking style with variables. And hopefully I'll have that on the screen. You can see that, how that works out. And X's are always Y's. Y's are not always X's. Therefore, if someone is X, they are always Y. However, if someone is Y, that does not mean they are an X. Also, there was one of his opponents was like that of Turf, and I mentioned it in one of the things that I'm going to show you here in a minute. Is he was really brutal to, like, I don't agree with Turf ideology. I don't like it either. But saying that someone is stupid and, oh, you're way in over your head, you're stupid, you're just a dumb bitch, you need to shut the fuck up. It's really interesting when someone says you should be a feminist and not tell a woman to get back in the kitchen. But then, I mean, like, he might as well have said get back in the kitchen the way that he was talking to her. It was crazy. And the thing is just saying like, oh, you're stupid and you're in over your head. That doesn't make you right. That's not debate. I mean, this is just plain verbal abuse. I mean, to continue. Come to find out, amongst the leaked rehashed Discord server chat threads, turns out Vosh has also asked if anyone has ever had sex with a minor, or when they were a minor, did they have sex with someone much older, like a teacher-student sexual interaction. In Vosh's own words, he says, "This is unironically hot." That's his own words. And I don't know how one is to excuse that. Other people within the chat Discord server expressed discomfort to this topic. Like many predators, though, Vosh takes pride in his ability to manipulate and mentally dominate others by using a bandwagon effect argument. Vosh literally posit that this is a common occurrence and shared experience for many, if not all, biological males. I'm a biological male, and I personally have never been in that situation he describes, nor have I ever looked at porn and been concerned that the person I just jerked off to after I came was, and I quote, this is Vosh's words, "Aw, geez, they looked a bit young." Something like that. "Aw, geez, oh no, they looked a bit young." That's what he said. I've never had that happen. I'm sorry. Personally, I'm into men, not boys. I like hairy male bodies, and sorry to be explicit, but we're all adults here. At least you should be. This is not a channel for people under the age of 18. But being that we're all adults here, I think we're mature enough to handle this. I like men that have a penis that can actually penetrate me, and not only that, as I have aged, my perception of age has changed, as it tends to happen to many people, actually. When I was of the age of 21, I really didn't think men that were above age 30 were really all that attractive. I'm not saying none of them were. There were certainly some that were. For the most part, though, I kind of saw them as being much older than myself, and I had a tendency to want to be with others close to my own age. Now, as I am in my 40s, I've seen men that are in their 50s and even 60s sometimes, believe it or not, that look attractive. And when I look at someone who's even 25, they look like a child to me. It's really weird. But I mean, seriously, like, when I was 25 and saw other 25-year-olds in my mind, they look like an adult and yada, yada, yada. And now the age that I'm at, like, seriously, a 25-year-old, they look like babies. It's weird. But I mean, that's... if I were single and a 25-year-old man wanted to date me, I don't think I could. It would be weird because now 25-year-olds, they look too young. It happens. Welcome to a truth about getting older for anyone who is younger than I.
This is seriously something you will have. Don't worry, it's not a big deal. You'll be fine. Like
your perception of things changes. What Vosh is pretending to fail to realize, and I have no doubt he does realize, is that no, most people do not run into that problem. Most people, if they can't tell if the person is old enough, then they are just not old enough. That is not an issue people who use normal porn sites like Pornhub or elsewise really run into. This is really only an issue if a person is going to areas of the internet where there are no restrictions, like the deep web or Twitter. I will never use Twitter to look for porn. It's bad. What he is trying to do is normalize by saying, what guy hasn't done this? Or no. That was the end of the quote. What guy hasn't done this? I think he damn well knows most guys have not done this. And his playing off the social stereotypes that men are just sex-crazed pigs, these people need it to be the case that every other guy out there is like them, and it results in projection of their disposition onto everyone else, males in this case. I saw the same thing with this self-proclaimed liberal commentator who was interviewing a Trump supporter. This Trump supporter wants Trump to ban porn because, in his words, what guy hasn't had a perverted thought? And the answer is, well, lots, actually. And also, like, I don't know what we're considering perverted. I mean, like, some people think just me being homosexual is perverted. I don't, so.
But, I mean, as far as sex goes, like, I would say I'm pretty vanilla.
I know I'm pretty vanilla, actually. I'm very vanilla. The thing is, he has a porn addiction. Or problem, and wants the government to interfere because, as the narrative goes, men just can't help themselves. We are just born to be objectifying sexist pigs with perverted thoughts all the time. It's not my fault, and I don't need to work on myself. Society needs to save me, us men, from ourselves. So every person, whether they're a guy, girl, male, female, that doesn't have a problem with porn addiction must waiver their right to look at porn instead of him taking responsibility for his own personal disposition. For Vosh, it's the same thing. He needs it to be an every guy problem, because then he is not the problem. He is the victim. Or either that, normalize it. So again, it's not Vosh has a problem that is potentially harmful. It's but I have a penis and a pair of testicles and I can't help it. This very much plays into the whole drug use addiction model arguments as well, but we don't have time to go over all that. The reality is, no, it's not an every guy problem. And maybe society does need to do something to accommodate people with these problems, but not by banning porn. Animal and child-based porn is already illegal. They just get it from illegal sources. I am not saying that these illegal types of porn should be made legal either. What I would suggest is that there needs to be something implemented that keeps predators away from their desired targets or intended targets. Maybe there should be limited internet access for those that struggle with this. I don't know. I can't give you a set of laws that will approach this issue, and it's a vast issue that would need a lot of discussion. The main point is that no, this is not a common issue for all people or even just men or males. That is a projection in an attempt to move accountability off the person who is a threat to others' safety. For Vosh, it's manipulation that, if it's normalized in the sense that every guy does it, maybe they just don't want to admit it, then we should move to acceptance. For the Trump guy, it's a manipulation that if it's normalized, then we should ban, we should all ban it ultimately, so society can save him from himself rather than taking personal responsibility and seeking help. Like I said, this is a bandwagon effect, and when you realize that not everyone is doing it, the argument is destroyed. Upon looking at Vosh's personality traits that have rubbed me the wrong way, or just simply a feeling that something did not sit right with me at all, after looking into what was actually leaked from his computer and realizing what the person was trying to say to me in the comments, which I still defend that I was not making an argument for Vosh having that material as being okay. It's not okay at all. I realized this video was not, in fact, an act of humility at all. This was just one giant piece of propaganda to save his own ass. Basically, he's only sorry and shows this humility for the sole sake of the matter that he was caught, and it's just that simple. The humility was all for show, and this is what makes me mad about this particular situation. I am a bit irritated that there is no accountability here. Some people ate that the appeal to a motive force argument he put forward. Many people do not know what it was that was on his computer. The drama community on YouTube has already stopped, while Vosh's channel has seen a significant reduction in viewership. That's not enough for me. The fact that he continues to make videos like nothing happened until people forget, and likely his channel will grow again. The fact that he hasn't been met by a mob of people trying to cancel him, although I suppose they did, as his channel has significantly less viewers and subscribers than it used to. Significantly dropped. The fact that no one has demanded that he be investigated and nothing has taken place to make sure he will no longer download that content or visit those sites. It's actually worse now because a sociopath has just been shown they got away with it to some degree, and that he got caught, he now knows what not to do. This will make it much harder to catch him moving forward. If he had been some smaller YouTuber, their computer would have been seized by local authorities. Vosh has every right to make leftist content, but I wish he would stop because he is bad optics. But more importantly, he is a potential threat to the safety and well-being of others, and that includes children and animals. I am saying that, I'm saying this. like a threat to animals. I'm saying that as someone who eats meat. I don't think animal abuse is okay. I consider that animal abuse. One last thought before I wrap this up with the conclusion of the not so debate I had in his comment section. Justin Roiland lost his entire career off nothing more than an allegation, and supposedly for being weird or strange. An allegation alone should not be something that destroys your whole career. Saying that someone can't be strange is an insult and very oppressive to anyone out there that is a unique individual. We should be doing away with uniformity and conformity, not embracing it. After Justin Roiland's hearing, he was found not guilty, but for some reason, he has still not been able to take his spot back on the shows where he helped create. Essentially being punished for literally doing nothing wrong and on nothing more than an accusation. They say Justin didn't contribute to the writing on Rick and Morty, but that is hard to believe as the show is vastly different. And I'm not just talking about the voices. Voices aside, the writing, like the flow of the show is different. It's just different. This is really backwards. Justin Roiland shouldn't have had his career destroyed until at least the accusation was proven to be true. We saw Vaush's pictures, and it's not an accusation. He has pictures of bestiality and cartoon or drawn renditions of child sex acts on his computer or in his possession. Instead of Justin Roiland having his career ruined over an allegation and Vosh getting off scot-free aside from some YouTube drama for what was clearly something illegal, it should be the other way around. Vosh should be the one with his career destroyed over actual evidence, and Justin Roiland should still have his job over an accusation he was found not guilty of. So, the main point of why this is improper debate, though, is that they're trying to debate what was in the folder on Vosh's computer. I'm merely saying, hey, this is the first act of humility I think I have ever seen Vosh show. Now, it turns out the folder is the reason why that is, but we'll go over that after we go through the rest of the video. So let's get into the debate.
Don't know if this will even be seen by Vosh. For what it's worth, this video is really cool, and maybe not exactly for the reasons you might think, in a positive way. This is, or shows, an act of humility. In all of Vosh's content, I've very rarely seen humility. This humility means a lot to me personally, if that amounts to anything. Who the fuck am I, after all? If Vosh sees this comment, it seems like you're getting older and starting to self-reflect. This isn't a bad thing, and when we do it, we may not like the reflection we see. When we don't like that reflection, that's an opportunity to fix it, or do something about it, as I am sure Vosh is smart enough to know. We are the only ones who can make active decisions to change ourselves. For me personally, as I can only speak for myself, this content on this channel is really good. However, most of it is stuff I really agree with. Over the time span I've watched Vosh, this and the other channel, the biggest issue that that's gotten on my nerves is massive egotism flaunted persistently. Vosh is rich, he's privileged, he's the smartest, and so on. That's exactly why this video is cool, as it shows he's human, meaning has a sense of empathy and sympathy along with a few other traits. He showed an actual act of humility, to which actions speak louder than words. For the first time I've personally seen, Vosh finally says, I'm not perfect, and I fucked up. Instead of the egotistical rants of, I'm rich, I'm privileged, you're in over your head, I'm smarter than everyone else. This time, he levels with his audience and finally does what many philosophers would recommend. Say, I know nothing, and I am the master of nothing. Yes, it's possible to be wrong. It's possible to not know something. It's possible to make mistakes. No one who's human is perfect. I'm not out to get Vosh. I want to back him up as a very influential leftist content creator. Might I point out, there was a debate in where Vosh was debating a TERF. Granted, TERFs run off a very bad ideology, and they should be debunked. Yelling and screaming at them to shut the fuck up, and calling them a quote-unquote stupid bitch, then to proceed by belittling that person as being quote-unquote you're way over your head. This is more ego on full blast and does not actually address the argument at all. I hope you read this, Vosh, because I want you to make a solid argument against TERF ideology and arguments. This particular debate, though, that didn't happen. It was not a good look. It was a poor argument, flat out just deductively unsound and full of logical fallacies. If Vosh does or did read this, I'm not criticizing. I'm trying to be helpful by giving advice. He can take that or leave it. That choice is up to the individual. All I can do is throw this out there for consideration. Again, I know I am no one of consequence. I am a stranger on the internet. I have no disillusionment that this comment will more than likely be overlooked or dismissed. I'm okay with that, though.
Well written. I agree.
It's absolutely disgusting and abhorrent the way you are covering for someone who so blatantly downloaded what he did. Shame.
Thank you.
Vosh says most of those things sarcastically, which often come off as smug or pretentious if you're unable to detect tone or sarcasm.
That's certainly a possibility.
I'm deciding whether or not I want to engage with your desire for an exchange of banter. So far, I'm thinking not. Your premise already looks disingenuous, or some form of confirmation bias. So this is usually how this goes. I'm going to point out that nothing in what I said that you are responding to has anything to do with the assumed topic you are bringing up. Then I'm going to be met with tiny quotes nitpicked out from what I typed. Those quotes will be met with scrutiny on their own basis, whether they actually have anything to do with the topic or not. Then you'll try to basically say, aha, I got you, because one sentence, one phrase, or whatever you've quoted can be shown to not make sense when taken out of context. Then I will have to explain that what you are arguing against is irrelevant because it actually has nothing to do with the crux, juxtaposition, premise, or conclusion of the original topic or point you're actually trying to make. For example, someone tried to quote-unquote debunk an argument I had with someone. They did this by reading the dictionary definition of a public intellectual. Then based off that definition, they arrived subjectively that a person I criticized was indeed, to them, a public intellectual. I criticized the position of this public intellectual, but had never even brought up the idea that he was or was not a public intellectual at all. Thus, the definition of what a public intellectual is or was pointless. Their opinion of that person being a public intellectual based on that definition was pointless. The reason why those things are pointless was because none of that addressed my critique of a singular position that public intellectual had. Pointing out what the definition of a public intellectual is did not refute my critique. Pointing out that based on the definition, they saw the person I critiqued as a public intellectual also did not refute my critique either. Furthermore, it had to be explained that their view was that of an opinion or subjective. Having an opinion is fine. Thinking this person is a public intellectual is fine because it's subjective, though not everyone may agree with the idea that person fits the definition of a public intellectual. I actually agreed with them that this particular person is a public intellectual. I just did not think their position on a particular topic was factually accurate, which, so far, nothing that person had said actually refuted my position on that. Then he tried to make the argument that my response was too long. He apparently also did not like my sentence structure or paragraph formations. At this point, we are not even talking about the position I held, the argument I had made, why I thought the public intellectual was even inaccurate in the position they held on a specific topic. Commenting on my sentence or paragraph structure does not refute my critique of this public intellectual. That is an entirely separate topic and had nothing to do with anything. At this point, I feel it necessary to explain to this person that so far, he's not followed an actual logic and critical thinking model. To understand the difference between an inductively sound and a deductively sound argument, the fact that there are many different fallacies, and fallacies make an argument on sound, then I recommend that if he wanted to actually make better deductively sound arguments, I suggested a book by Merle Salmon, Introduction to Logic and Critical Thinking. The copy I have is in its 4th edition, but there may be a more current edition available. It's a college-level curricular textbook and may be a very dry read, but I highly recommend it. I then proceeded to tell him, if you do not respond respectfully or actually address why this public intellectual is correct on his position, or if you do not actually address why my position of this public intellectual being incorrect on the specific topic I find him to be incorrect on, then I will not take you seriously and I will not respond. I have better things to do than get into a verbal fight online with a stranger for the sake of fighting using words. Because that's what that type of stuff is. It's not debate. It's arguing for the sake of arguing. An actual debate, for one, is civil. An actual good faith debate or even conversation would actually address the topic. Not my sentence structure, paragraph structure, or how long my response is, what the definition of a public intellectual is, or that he thought the person fits the definition of a public intellectual. Nor is it in good faith to interject a position or topic I did not even bring up and presume what my position on that interjected topic would be, based off of my position on a topic that's completely unrelated. That is just being presumptuous, and as the saying goes, to assume makes an ass out of us all. That is why I do not want to engage with your quote-unquote debate, as this form of quote-unquote debate seems to be all too common and rampant on the internet. It is not debate. It is typically not done in good faith or civility, and I actually really respect philosophy, logic, and critical thinking. That being said, your comment to me does not address anything I said in mine. It assumes I'm holding a position on something I did not even bring up, then makes the assumption of an act on my part on a topic that I didn't even bring up. This is a sort of a false equivalency, post hoc ergo propter hoc fallacy. It's manipulative and adversarial, and I don't appreciate what it implies. So thank you kindly for your feedback, but no thank you. I've got things to do. I hope you have a wonderful day or night, whatever it is for you. Also, I would really recommend that book to you as well, Introduction to Logic and Critical Thinking by Merle Salmon. Sincerely, Jinx. Okay, so to wrap up here, that in one really kind of showed what the issue was. I was talking about the video itself, Vaush's act of humility. And this guy wanted to bring up the contents of the folder. Well, I didn't mention anything about the folder. In fact, I had no idea. I didn't know anything about the contents of the folder. And so he was just looking at me saying like, hey, look, this is the first time I have ever seen Vosh show an act of humility. And this video is an act of humility from Vosh. It's the first time I've ever seen that from Vosh. Usually he's very arrogant, very egotistical, very self-righteous, very sort of narcissistic. And so, that guy, whoever they are, they brought up the contents of the folder, like, oh, so because you say that this is the first time you've seen an act of humility from Vosh, therefore you're in favor of CP then? Well, no, I didn't even bring up, I didn't even know that was the contents of the folder at the time. The only thing in reference was the fact that I thought that this was the first video I'd ever seen from Vosh where he showed like sort of an act of humility where he wasn't completely about himself. Now, that would have been a better thing to do, though, if this person really wanted to have like a good faith argument or conversation, is say, like, you do know that the humility is all an act to save his career. That would have been more productive, because that would have opened up the conversation for me to ask, okay, why do you say that? What exactly am I missing here that's something I don't know about? And that would have given them the opportunity to say, well, what was in that folder was, and then go into explaining it and saying, reiterating, this is not an act of humility by Vosh. This is just him pretending to show humility, sort of an appeal to emotive force to try to persuade people that he didn't do anything wrong, when in fact, he's trying to sweep something under the carpet where he did something horribly wrong. He got busted. So at a certain point, I kind of question, and then, am I trying to show or teach like logic and critical thinking as I understand it, philosophy, good faith debate, or am I sort of showing or teaching people how to actually have a conversation on the internet with a stranger, and instead of making assertions, making assumptions, interjecting a position that wasn't there, like some kind of straw man or something. So I think that really kind of illustrates, though, that like if you're trying to do a debate and with somebody and they're talking about like, oh, well, normally this person is not very humble. They're usually very self-centered, ego-driven, or egotistical, self-righteous, it talks down to other people. And, here finally we see this sort of act of humility. I'm going to put this up on, I want to, there we go. So this is just so you can see it if you want. This is somebody else rushing to defend Vosh, which, honestly, I've seen, I had to go and look for the contents of the folder to see exactly how bad it was, because I didn't understand. I had to go to a BitChute to actually find that. You have to go to someplace funky on the internet to see these actual leaks, because they won't allow it on Reddit. They won't allow it here. They won't allow it there. And after I saw it, I don't want to be on BitChute, but I mean, you should make an argument to say, like some of these other social media sites, maybe you should stop being so stuffy. I was better off not seeing. I wish I had not seen it. Like, but there's more of it. So it's just like when somebody's talking about, okay, this is the first video I've ever seen of this content creator where they've done X, and I find that interesting. For somebody to come in and go, well, what about Z? Are you saying you support Z? You think it's interesting that this is the first video he's done of X. So why are you defending X, Y, and Z, or whatever variable I use first to negate that one? But you understand, it's like it's bringing up a topic that was not even originally part. It's like saying that bees are good. I really like bees because they produce honey. Oh, so are you saying that you support child labor? No, I don't support child labor. I can like honey and bees without supporting child labor. Yeah, it sort of has. Is that a non sequitur? That might be a non sequitur. Anyway, so it would have been more productive if he brought up the idea that what you're seeing as humility is nothing more than an act. And it has to do with the contents on his folder. That's why he's doing this. You know, that would have been more productive. That would have led me, like, that could have saved me from having to see the stupid leaked folder, because that's what everybody was talking about, was the contents of the leaked folder, to make sense of this video that Vosh had made and why it was not the apology that people like this on the screen, you know, say that it was. It was not. So, I will have some other finishing ideas, statements in the description, as well as links to many videos covering the topic, as well as the original video that this debate, that wasn't a debate, took place in. If you can, I would ask not to go to the video where this debate that wasn't a debate took place in. I'm basically saying boycott Vosh. Don't give him views. There should be some accountability for what he did, for what he had. It's not okay. It's not. You really must see it. I can't stop you from doing anything. I can't stop you from doing that. But I would really like it if you didn't. But that, again, I can't make you do anything. I'm anti-authoritarian, you know, like that. I guess a leftist, a anarchist, a libertarian, socialist. I can't make you do anything. But I think it would be good if you didn't, because I don't think he should be just support. I don't think he should get away with this. There should be some accountability. It was messed up. It was. But there's a lot of links. Yeah, Bad Empanadas explaining how we are not, this person isn't left, that person isn't left. We are not the left. We're just leftists. Yeah. And H3's covering of Vosh. So if you want to understand that whole drama unpack, I have the H3, as well as people that were one person who is in, not a bunch of people, just one person who is, I guess, a defender of Vosh, that came out, even talked about it. President Sunday. I have his videos in there too, so you can look at those. It'd be a much better way than going to Vosh and supporting him in any way, shape, or form. Don't support him. Boycott Vosh. That's my message. But with that, stuff in the description, I highly recommend you look at what's in the description. A lot of descriptions that I have, I would really recommend you look. I put citations in there and links and continuation of thought. So yeah. And then I'm curious about this. Like, hit the like button. I've seen on some people's channel when they say like, the little like icon sort of has this rainbow thing kind of light glow around the button. So I'm wondering if that's voice recognition of like a when someone says hit the like button and AI kind of picks up on that and highlights it. I'm not sure how that works. So I'm seeing if me saying make sure you hit the like button if it'll highlight. You can let me know in the comments if you want, and hit the bell button and subscribe if you want to. If you want to, it's all up to you. I can't make you do anything, can I? Nope. With that, I'm out.